So if you think the Galaxy S26 Ultra is basically the same phone as the S25 Ultra, you're not wrong, but you're also not right. Because once you break it down, there are 28 changes here, and some of them matter more than you notice. So let's get into it. Let's start with the design, because this is where the most obvious changes show up. The S26 Ultra is now 7.9 millimeters thick without the camera module, and that immediately tells you something. Samsung is still aggressively chasing thinness. Flip it over and the individual camera rings are gone. Instead, Samsung added a full camera bar. It's a big visual shift. It makes the phone look more like the rest of Samsung's lineup, but here's the catch. If you include that camera bar, the S26 Ultra is actually thicker than the S25 Ultra, and it won't sit flat on a table anymore. The phone is also slightly taller and wider, but the bigger change is the shape. The corners are now rounded, and the frame is rounded on all sides. Even the S Pen has been moved to left and reshaped to match. And because of all of this, the weight drops to 214 grams. That's lighter than before, something Samsung has been quietly improving year after year. Now let's talk about the display, because this is where Samsung actually did some real engineering work. The S26 Ultra is finally upgrading to a newer M14 OLED, replacing the M13 panel on the S25 Ultra. But peak brightness may still sit around 2600 nits. On paper, that sounds disappointing, but here's where things get interesting. The S26 Ultra may become the first ultra-bar phone to use a COE or depolarizer-style display, and Samsung is removing the polarizer layer and restructuring the panel. The result? More light passes through, which means better efficiency and a thinner display stack. So even without higher peak brightness, the screen could actually look brighter outdoors while using less power. There's also a built-in AI privacy display, letting the phone limit viewing angles on demand without a physical privacy screen. If Samsung gets this right, it's a huge win. There are rumors about 10-bit color and high-frequency PWM dimming, but even Ice Universe isn't fully confident on those yet. And that uncertainty is frustrating because Samsung isn't using the M14 panel to its full potential. On the glass side, Samsung may move from Gorilla Armor 2 to a third-generation version with better anti-reflective properties. But there is one visual downgrade you can't ignore. The front camera cutout is getting bigger, and yes, it's noticeable. Moving on to cameras, and this is where things get more interesting than they first appear. At a glance, the setup looks exactly the same as the S25 Ultra, but there's a catch. The main camera aperture widens from f1.7 to f1.4. That's a big deal, because it means more light, faster shutter speeds, better background blur, and cleaner night shots. The 5x periscope also gets a quiet upgrade, opening from f3.4 to f2.9, which really helps low-light zoom. Now the 3x telephoto is where things get complicated. Samsung is switching from a 10-megapixel sensor to a 12-megapixel one, but it will still output 10-megapixel photos, and the new sensor is actually smaller. That means the most used camera may struggle even more in low light. The selfie camera stays at 12 megapixels, but the larger punch hole allows for a wider field of view, jumping from 80 to 85 degrees. Group selfies and vlogging get better, and Samsung is also upgrading autofocus with a new sensor, improving reliability in tricky lighting. On the software side, Samsung plans to switch default photos from 12 megapixels to 24 megapixels. That could be the sweet spot, sharper images without the storage hit of higher resolution modes. There's also talk of a focus speed slider for creators, and finally, APV Video, a near-lossless log format with built-in LUTs for editing directly on the phone. Performance-wise, the S26 Ultra is expected to run the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. While there are big gains in CPU, GPU, and AI, but real-world performance will depend on cooling. Samsung is adding a larger vapor chamber, possibly 15% bigger, for better sustained performance and less throttling. RAM and storage stay the same, but the RAM itself will be 25% faster, meaning smoother multitasking and quicker app switching. Now battery and charging. Wired charging finally jumps from 45 watts to 60 watts, the first real Ultra upgrade in years, and it reportedly doesn't even need a special 5A cable. Wireless charging also jumps from 15 watts to 25 watts, plus built-in magnets for perfect alignment without a special case. But there's a downside. Reverse wireless charging doesn't play nicely with those magnets, and that feature may be gone. Battery capacity itself stays the same. Again, any battery life gains this year will come from efficiency, not size. And this year isn't just about slab phones either. Samsung's foldables are about to change in a big way. And you can find more exciting tech videos right here on our channel. Subscribe now and stay updated with the latest tech news every single day. This is Mr. Phonova. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.